What's up, y'all? This is Mark Piesek of MPMEDIA here with the why, what, and how teaching tools I'm going to be showing to you guys today. I'm going to go through some behind-the-scenes footage of one of my previous video photo shoots, and I'm going to do kind of commentary over it. And I'm going to teach you guys the lighting setup, what I was explaining to the models, how it all came out, what gear I was using. So I'm going to use some of these clips and do like a commentary on top so that maybe you guys can learn something about what I have done. Some people may have other techniques for these kind of treatments, but if you saw some of the work I've done and liked it, this is exactly how I did it. So let's check out some of these clips coming up, and I hope you learned something. Okay, so here in the video where I'm setting up the lighting, I have two rim lights, one camera left, one camera right, and one key light. So when I'm doing rain shoots like this, I always have the mindset of I need to highlight the rain. I need to highlight the water from behind. You can do it with one light behind the model, just directly behind them, but I don't like the Photoshop light stands underneath legs or anything like that. So I try to avoid that as much as possible. So I try to do one light camera right, one light camera left, and then that will just completely highlight and give a nice rim around the subject as well as highlight the rain. When I have a key light in the front, I don't like it directly in front of the model. Always slightly to the left or right, depending on what's the preferred side for the model. That will allow shadows on the physique, abs, delt, striations, etc. This will allow details and muscle definition to come out. If you put the key light directly frontwards, you're going to soften out the skin, you're going to soften out any kind of muscles. So it's not going to give out the definition. Here in the video is where I turned on my Nanlite 300B from the back so that I can really highlight the subject. It just allowed me to see shadows better from a distance, as well as get focus better on the camera. When I was shooting in a dark space like this, it was kind of hard for me to have the camera focus at certain times, especially when rain's going in front of the lens and this and that. The autofocus lens was jumping up and around. So when I had the light on, I got the eyes, I got the focus. Is a lot better. So sometimes you got to play with your gear to make sure everything is coming out. My key light was a Flashpoint AD600, and my rim lights were 8200s. I always shot high-speed sync. That's the way I prefer to get my mood, get the rain and the water to come out in focus and sharp. I'm a big detail guy, so when I was shooting this, I was always high-speed sync. Right here is where I was shooting just straight video. So when I'm shooting video in scenes like this, I always shoot 120 frames per second. I don't like 60. I'm not a fan of like slowing it down 40%. I've never been a fan of that. It does not give me the slow motion that a 120 does. So I always shoot a 120. I always forego the 60 frames per second. If I want to speed up by 120, I always go 400 to 500% speed up, and it gives me that cinematic 24 frames per second or 30 frames per second. It gets me to where I want to be. So I always shoot at 120. I always forego the 60 frames per second. I don't even bother. When I'm shooting with smoke, there's a fine point. You can shoot, you can blast the smoke, and then it'll come out nice, but you'll just saturate the whole frame. So sometimes you gotta let it diffuse a little bit, and then you can snap. Or right when it's coming underneath the legs, that's when I snap. So you gotta be quick with it sometimes, and if it's too much, you gotta let it diffuse and then redo it again. Here I'm placing the subject on the ground, and I'm trying to, this is what we call the arch pose. So we're always staggering the feet and the legs, tippy toes, arching the back, have the subject on the back of her head. Very difficult sometimes, but it's an amazing shot when it's created. You have to slowly direct them into this pose. It's a lot of trial and error. Don't be afraid to always, look, do this with your feet. Do this. You got to arch back. Get them uncomfortable. Because sometimes when you get them uncomfortable, that stress brings out that mood and that facial expression you're looking for, and the muscles and the definition of the body starts coming out a little bit more because they're stressed out and they're straining, they're working hard. You want that, so it gets that emotion out in the facial expression of their face and their mouth. Spot on. Sometimes you gotta really make them work for it, and you'll get the shot. Now, when you're modeling, your subjects, don't be afraid to tell them what to do slowly. Just move your hands here and there. Slight movements is the key. You don't want them doing fast motions, because sometimes you miss a facial expression, you miss a muscle definition that comes out. If you move them slowly and you have them move slowly, you'll see things come, and you can tell them, hold it, snap, that's it. I'm not a rapid fire shooter. I don't prefer to do that. It's one shot at a time, or maybe 3 or 4 in sections, and then take a break, take a rest. That's what you want. You don't want them to look through 1,000 shots. You want maybe 200 to 300 per, if that, 150, 200 shots max in a 1 hour shoot. And that's all the outfits, that's all the poses, everything. So that's what you aim for. Now, when she was also on the floor, I always put the key light a little bit lower. You don't want it so high, you want it low. So all the lights went a little bit lower as the model went to the ground. The knees, when she got out her knees, now that the model's on her knees, the key light went up, rim lights went up. You just gotta make sure you adjust them. Take the breaks and adjust them. 5 minutes here and there, that's fine. The basics for this kind of shoot is always highlight the water. You gotta have that highlighted when you're taking shots. Key light, always to the side a little bit, either left or the right, that's fine. Never direct, I don't like that. And always adjust it as she's standing tall and she's going lower as the set progresses. Adjust your lights. You have to adjust your lights. Play with the power too. You'll find the right mood if she's not overly hot, which is like overexposed. You want skin definition, you want skin tones, you got to keep the power at a good point. So just play with it. Don't be afraid to play with it, but don't look stressed. Always allow your subject to know that you have everything in control, everything's going good, test shots are working well, and then you can just slay the shoot and it'll go by quick. So yeah, this shoot's very basic, but a lot of fun. So I highly recommend you guys go out and do an range shoot in a studio if you have an availability in your area, or build one yourself. It's not hard. In a garage, do it. So these shoots are a lot of fun. Clients love it, and you'll have a great time. How cool is that? I hope you guys learned something from that. The more videos we do of this stuff, the better. I really want to share some of this content with you guys and how I've done things. It's all about giving back and sharing my knowledge to all of you. So I hope you guys learned something from this video. If you want to comment, great. Please subscribe below. That'd be awesome. I have a podcast called the Hunger One Podcast. Go check that out. I try to do business tip knowledge, branding, photo, video tips, and I'm practicing what I preach. I talk about branding development, and this is part of my branding development. Sharing knowledge, showing my expertise, giving it to you. That's what I want to accomplish for myself. So I hope you guys take some of my efforts and apply it to your business and brand. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching. Have a good one.